Do you have to believe everything to come to church? No, of course not. I want to talk a bit more about that today. Hi, I'm Warren, the rector here at St. Columba's. Glad you could join me for my message of the day. No, you don't have to believe everything that you think you're meant to believe to come to church. There's no test at the door. We should, of course, bear in mind how easy it is to misconstrue what is actually believed by Christians and think that we have to believe that misconstrual. Sometimes people come to church and discover that Christians don't believe what the person thought that they did. You need a reliable source to know what Christians believe, even if then you can't believe it. But even so, what about all the stuff that someone who comes to church might not be able to assent to believe? What do you do about that? How can you navigate coming to church and not believing everything? Well, as a start, it's worth looking at those Christian beliefs we do hold and see if they can help us into expanding into those beliefs we don't understand or have rejected. So, for example, many people can see that Jesus was an extraordinary person and an inspiring person. And if more people did what he said, we'd be a lot better off. And that's all true. And that was me at one point. But once I understood, and I thought I would never believe that Jesus was more than that. So the church's traditional belief is that Jesus was fully human and fully God. So I thought I would never believe in his full divinity. But once I understood that the church's belief in him as not only fully human, but truly God as well, when I understood that that actually reinforced his importance, then I wanted to explore that belief a little bit more. It helped me come to see the natural fact it reinforced his importance rather than be a distraction from it. Sometimes when you come to church and you don't believe everything, it's just a matter of over time learning more. There can be a resistance to learning about faith and belief though. And I think part of the resistance can be the influence of our culture that says religion is idiosyncratic, that you can pick up and choose what you like and make it very individual. And while there's some truth in that, and of course you can do that, but in my experience, people just pick the bits that reinforce what they already think, and whether that is for good or for ill. So nothing much changes. So I think it's a mistake to cherry pick. So I encourage people when they come to church and they think that there's things they don't believe, by all means, but be aware that you might just be cherry picking those bits that reinforce what you already think. Someone once told me that when they stood to say the creed at church on a Sunday morning, they only said those parts of the creed that they already believed in. And while I could see the authenticity about that, he didn't want to say those things that he didn't believe. Yeah, well, I sort of get that. But there's another way of looking at the creed and reciting it. And in Christian belief in total, you could look at it as aspirational. Maybe reciting the creed on a Sunday, even if we don't fully understand it, or maybe think, oh, there's some things there I don't believe. Maybe reciting it will help us go further into our Christian discipleship to learn more. We might discover that there's something very profound being said that we haven't understood. When it comes to the creed, it can be hard to know exactly what is being said, so we might not actually understand what we're allegedly rejecting. That's why for the last couple of weeks at church, I've been clarifying some aspects of Christian belief by saying what we don't believe, sort of a compare and contrast, and to show why we don't believe certain things and following through the consequences of the contrary belief compared to the consequences of believing what Christianity does. That can be quite helpful. Another thing you can do if you're coming to church and you're a little bit unsure about all the things that Christians believe is just to remember that many of the things that have been believed in Christianity from the beginning, we might say, I have said this myself in the past, I'm never going to believe that, but I actually now wholeheartedly believe them, because I've learned that some texts and beliefs that we hold in Christianity are better than me. They're more profound. They have a greater connection to reality than I could muster at the time when I rejected them. I've had to grow into them. The ideology of the modern world has taught us that we are, as modern people, smarter and less gullible than the ancient world. I doubt that. I've learnt the opposite is the case. Often, I have seen that amongst those who have constructed the Christian tradition, there are spiritual, psychological, and intellectual freaks, I like to call them, whose ability to speak the truth will always surpass my willingness to hear it. So, just a little bit of a reflection on coming to church. If you don't think you believe everything that you're meant to believe, you don't have to do that to come to church, and you don't have to believe everything that you think you're meant to believe to receive the benefits of faith. What does help, though, is not to think that we know everything already. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.